and welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about a little history and a little current events that just kind of do this. So, back in the 20s and the 30s, when the country was electrifying, it was electrifying a little before that in some places, but the big time was the 20s and the 30s. Rural areas were not getting electricity. The companies that provided electricity were not going into rural areas because there wasn't enough people per square mile to profit with the expense of the installation of the equipment. Plain and simple, capitalism wasn't going to do it because there was no profit in it. So, then we have FDR, America's all-time favoriteest president. The president that we have presidential term limits because of. The Republicans were like, oh, the people love this democratic socialism so much that if we ever run into another democratic socialist, we sure in the heck don't want them just staying in office forever. And it's elected to office. It's not staying in office for dictators, okay? So, FDR used the government to back... Now, I don't know exactly how he did it, okay? I don't know if he provided loans to the grants to the corporations or what the mechanisms he used to distribute that money from the government to the corporations to get that done, okay? But he did it. And maybe there was a bunch of small little electric companies that were started behind that. I don't know, like all the history for this particular event, okay? But if you're interested in that, you should look in, because FDR did a lot of really great stuff for the country. Okay, so what's going on now is the same situation 2.0 with the internet and rural communities. Now, electricity is not a big deal anymore. I mean, I have all the electricity I need. I've got wind power. I have solar power. I should have wind power. I just haven't had enough high power wind to see if I actually have the settings correct. Should be pretty good. I have generators that run on propane and gas to create electricity. All these things they didn't have back in the 20s and the 30s, okay? Now, I even have what I consider to be pretty good internet, really. I mean, I can stream it, streaming games. It just taxes it really bad, so it doesn't work. It works, but not good enough to actually do. So, but I mean, I can game just fine. I can upload and download everything just fine. Now, I'm paying one of these huge corporations for, to use the cell phone towers and all that stuff, right? Which is out there, but it's not, the infrastructure. So if everybody went and did that, there's not infrastructure. Those towers that are there can't handle it. And the current corporations aren't really moving forward with trying to get internet into rural areas. And then so you have little companies like Web4Mix that are a radio transmitted internet that you can get, and there's probably similar radio transmitted internet for other areas around the country. That's probably a standard, okay? So what's going to happen with the Bernie Sanders administration is that Bernie's going to do for the internet what FDR did for electricity. Now, like I said, I'm not quite sure about the mechanisms, but I think it's basically like either grants or loans, either co-signed by the government or just by the government for, like off-grid communities to make their own ISPs, right? And there's places around the country that have been doing their own ISPs, little micro ISPs, and rural, and everybody that belongs to those is satisfaction with their internet is off the charts. Where everybody else complains about their internet mostly. I mean, either the prices or problems or whatever it may be, or the fact that it's all a monopoly, right? So there's no, which, I mean, in my opinion, the internet should be, and the electricity should be utilities. I mean, it's just, when everybody needs it, it's just the profit margin and all that is just, it's just wasteful, right? Because they're always trying to see how little they can give you for how much they can get out of you, right? Where, it's not necessary. Now, we're not even going to go into RGB talk here. We're just talking about our current system that we live under, right? So, getting internet, getting internet out to rural communities around not only our country but around the whole world, I think is a pretty high priority. Number one, education should be the number one priority of all humans. Lifelong learners. Everybody should just be learning, and there is no better mechanism for learning and sharing than the internet. It's amazing, okay? We are so lucky to be in this era, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people who are feeling left behind by all this technology and everything else are, screaming to tear it down because they don't understand it. Well, it's those people that I want to say, hey, look, let's get you a good internet connection and you can start learning how to connect up ISPs. Okay? Why not just learn that stuff instead of just wanting to burn down the whole world because you can't get a good job? Learn something on the internet instead of just looking for anger porn all the time, right? So, these are big things. This is actual things that issues, actual stuff, right? Now, oh my God, how can we afford that? How can we afford anything? It's all a fucking bullshit construct, right? I mean, $600 toilet seats have been a thing since freaking the 80s when I was a little kid, okay? It never ends. We can afford endless war. We can afford even more endless war. And that's all very expensive. The endless war thing, so expensive, right? So, let's get Bernie elected so we can get the ISPs into the rural communities and we get all our rural brothers and sisters up to speed with education, knowledge, current events, reality, truth, right? That's where we need to go. Peace.